was probably 60 yards.
We welcome you to In-Game Live, presented by our friends at Nissan. It says right here, 20-10, Philadelphia Eagles at the Denver Broncos. Ray Dittinger, I'm Michael Barkann. We were just doing some math as we came to you live on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube because it was 20. What was the yardage on that last pass attempt you just said?
The one he threw to Watkins?
Yeah.
Well, he threw it from the line of scrimmage was the 34, so figure with the drop, he threw it 45 yards.
Okay, so even if it's less than that, Jalen Hurts is 15-20 for 176 yards and 2 touchdowns, 134.6 passer rating, and well on his way to a 300-yard game. Ray, you would have to say it's the best game so far, the best half of football so far in his young career, would you not? Close.
Oh yeah, I think so. I mean, if you look back to last year, there was the first game that he played, the very first start that he had against New Orleans when they won that game against a good Saints team. But this is a more complete sort of performance, I think, where you got the run and the pass both working together. And he's made some really good throws. I mean, he's made a couple throws there where he hung in the pocket with a rush right in his face, where he didn't panic, didn't throw the ball away, didn't tuck it and try to run it. I mean, he hung in there and did what an NFL quarterback, frankly, has to do, which is stand in there, take the rush, take the hit, and deliver the football. And, this is we were talking in pregame, and we've talked about it really all year, is this year is really about growing Jalen Hurts and developing him into an NFL quarterback and making the decision as to whether he has the ability to be a frontline player in this league and win games. And you're talking about this week-to-week growth as, developing this aspect of his game. And I think you're seeing the first half of this game so far, just a very complete performance, very in control, very in command, running the ball a lot, had a 30-yard run of his own, but also staying in the pocket, seeing the field, delivering the football, and getting you 20 points in the first half against a pretty decent Denver team.
This is a Denver team that allows just 17 points per game this season. They dropped 20 on them in the first half. I think it speaks fair is fair. We've criticized Nick Sirianni and Shane Steichen, the offensive coordinator. They got a game plan there, and I don't think you can say it enough, but what you just said about Jalen Hurts, he has rarely stood in the pocket the way he did this first half. Sure, he ran it 5 times. Sure, he rolled out a couple of times, cutting that field in half, which is sometimes frustrating, but he stood in there. A
couple times, like the ball, the square out that he threw to Rager on the last drive to the field goal was one where, look, he sees the rush coming. I mean, he knows it's coming right at him, but he waits for Rager to come out of the break and puts a perfect ball right in his hands and takes the hit and goes down. It's really very impressive what he's done here so far. In the first half, I have the Eagles at 5 for 8 on third down, and I have the Denver Broncos 1 for 4. On third down. So the defense is making some plays too, but it's really remarkable when you see the play calling, and I think the play calling has been quite good, but they have only, by my count, they've only had one play in the whole first half where they had Hurts under center. I mean, they've been in the shotgun almost exclusively.
Can't figure this
to this
out.
point, but they're executing it really well. And one of the things that probably bears mentioning is that Vic Fangio, who has been a defensive coordinator and a very good one in the NFL for a long time, is now the head coach of the Broncos, and he calls the defense himself throughout the game. And if you look back, one of Fangio's calling cards all through his coaching career has been that he is really good against young quarterbacks, rookie quarterbacks, second-year quarterbacks, guys that are still just trying to figure it out in the NFL. Fangio is really good against those guys. And you go back and you look at, he's going up against some of the good ones, the Mannings when they were rookies and stuff like that. And he generally ties young quarterbacks in knots the first time they have to face his defense. And it hasn't been the case here so far. I mean, Jalen Hurts, he's been throwing a lot of stuff at Jalen Hurts, and he's been figuring it out one after another.
Let's talk a little bit about the officiating. Let's talk a little bit about good penalties and bad penalties. And the worst penalty came against, or was a no call, actually. First quarter, Eagles are going downfield for their first touchdown of the game. Dallas Goedert with a nice catch, and he just gets drilled in the next year by Justin Simmons. There's no flag on the play, let alone an ejection on the play, and Simmons got him helmet to helmet, and Goedert now is out for the game. Can you explain that? The refs should. I know that.
Blown call. I mean, clearly. I mean, it's, there's this awareness in the NFL now of trying to protect the players and all this preaching about player safety and getting headshots out of the game, which, I mean, who's not in favor of that, right? Who doesn't want to see a safer game? I sure do. You sure do. We all do. Well, you can talk about that. That's fine, but you have to put it into action. And a play like that, to me, it was clearly a helmet-to-helmet hit, and a really dangerous hit. I mean, it's a play in which a guy could really get hurt, and Goddard did get really hurt on that. But it seems so silly to me that a play like that draws nothing, and then 5 minutes later, Avonte Maddox gets a personal foul, taunting on a play on the sidelines. I mean, please. I mean,
should that penalty go away? I mean, that type of the taunting penalty. Who cares? Isn't that what they want in the game? Short of anything that is racial in nature. I mean, what's wrong with a guy standing over another guy talking a little trash?
Now, I draw the line there, Mike. I'm not in favor of that either. I mean, because sometimes that leads to other stuff in the game that you don't want. But I know this year. And they said this, the competition committee at the league meetings, they talked about the fact they're really going to crack down on that stuff. They really want to get the taunting and out of the game. Fine. I have no problem with that. But within the same half, have a vicious hit on Goddard that knocks him out of the game, and who knows how bad this concussion is. I mean, he might be out for a while, but in any event, and it could have been even worse, a play like that. And then a couple minutes later, you get a personal foul penalty on something that somebody says to somebody or gives them a dirty look on a third down play. I mean, just the inconsistency of it is maddening.
All right, we're going to take a quick timeout. We'll come back after the third quarter. Seth Joyner has some words for you at that time, all positive, we hope, as the Eagles have a 20-10 lead over the Denver Broncos at Denver going into the third quarter. Reminder, when the clock hits 0 after this game, we're talking about a big Eagles win. Fingers crossed right there, Ray. Big Eagles win, and we'll have Ray Dittinger, Barrett Brooks, Seth Joyner, and all the interviews from Denver as we bring you Eagles post-game live. We'll see you after the game, and Seth after the third quarter.